With elbow flexion, we are actually looking at two different motions, one with the wrist palm facing towards you and one away. If facing towards you, we are looking specifically at the biceps. The biceps inserts onto the radius, so it is affected by position of the forearm. With this one, we're going to have Jovi with his palm facing towards him. Reach up to make sure he has full range there. Great. And then we will apply resistance just proximal to the wrist here. Feel for that muscle first. Biceps should be pretty easy to find. And then you will stabilize the anterior-posterior, anterior shoulder, and apply resistance in a direction of extension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. To make it gravity eliminated, Jovi will put his arm into abduction here, making sure it is at 90 degrees, of course. And then pretty simple, start in a position of extension and go into flexion at the elbow, making sure he does not move his shoulder to get there. Good. The other positioning we're looking for with elbow flexion is having the wrist and palm face away from the patient. That way we take out the biceps, which is most potent when the wrist is facing towards you. So we'll first use if Jovi has full range of motion with his wrist facing down. Great. Palpate, have him come up there. The brachialis, which is one of the muscles we're looking for, you'll kind of find underneath the biceps here, inserting onto the ulna. And the brachioradialis should be pretty easy to find for everyone, that muscle of rapid flexion. The actual test, we'll do that same motion, but stabilize at the shoulder here, and then apply resistance just proximal to the wrist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jovi's very strong in this motion. For gravity eliminated, we will have him abduct his shoulder up onto the table here, keeping that wrist facing away, and then come into a position of elbow flexion. Great. With elbow extension, we are looking at two muscles really, being the triceps, brachii, and the anconeus, both which share a common tendon attachment to the olecranon of the ulna. Patient position for this will be in supine. And it's important to have the patient flex his or her shoulder up to 90 there, and maintain a little elbow flexion at first. To apply a little resistance to palpate the muscles, of course, triceps being this big one here, go into the ulna. For actual resistance, we're going to want him in a position of just a little bit of flexion, not full extension, be able to test. We'll stabilize with one hand at the shoulder here and apply resistance just proximal to the wrist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trying to push him into flexion. Gravity eliminated will be seated at the side of the table here. Again, wanting the table to come up to a shoulder height of 90 degrees. Jovi will start in a position of elbow flexion and then proceed into elbow extension.